Hello and good evening. This is Jurri Schenck of Legends of the Wind. Thank you so much for watching our show tonight. Here at Legends of the Wind, we are a prophetic ministry that is pioneering prophetic parables or storytelling that is inspired by Holy Spirit, kind of like what Jesus did with parables in the Bible. And we celebrate the creative arts. We enjoy mystery and ideas and creativity and the journey of the soul with Jesus and about learning about our hero's journey and our story that Jesus is co-writing with us, that we are co-authoring with the Lord together. So it's super important to you to know that God loves creativity, God loves storytelling. And unfortunately, most of the Big C church has not been embraced with the idea of this kind of message or this kind of language. And so we're pioneering, once again, the idea of prophetic story. Jesus wants us to know that we are the hero of our story. That doesn't mean that God isn't a hero either. It means that we co-write and co-labor with him. We co-create with him. He has given us a vision and a passion and a destiny that he wrote on our hearts. And that way, he's given us permission granted to pursue our destiny. It's not doing something apart from him, but with him. And so when we here at Legends, when we have a term called becoming a legend, does that mean that you're famous? Not necessarily. You could be famous, but it means that there's a symbol. So when you look at a map, there's a part of it called a legend, and it tells you what symbols are and what those symbols mean. Then you look on the map and you find out where are those placed. And so when you become a legend, Jesus is giving you a revelation of your identity and destiny. And that kind of gives you a grounding place. This is who I am, and this is where I'm going, and this is the journey I'm on. And so when you talk about that in a narrative form, out of a place of storytelling, then you get to walk out your adventure together with the Lord. So that's kind of a brief understanding about the prophetic story. Prophetic words are a bit different, though. It's kind of like a conversation. It's more of a direct language. But in a prophetic story, it's a narrative. That means that there are characters, there's conflict, there's a problem, there's scenes, there's the ups and downs with emotion. It's very visual, very emotional, and typically it ends with a big coming together in a climactic moment. And hopefully there's a good resolution and a transformation for you as watching the characters on the screen or on the page. So that's kind of like how we work here. And long ago in 2008, Jesus gave me in my journaling a release to do prophetic story. And I was working with children at a church in Northridge, California. God would give me downloads of prophetic stories for the kids. Then I started meeting adults at a church called Expression 58, where I met my wife, Alicia. And I started getting downloads of stories for them. It was a huge hit and it was a very popular thing. And so that was kind of like the beginning genesis of God operating through me this way. I learned how to see and hear in the Spirit by attending countless Kim Clement meetings where his prophetic ministry was in operation. And I saw Kim taking huge risks, taking prophetic words and speaking. And he modeled for me creativity and risk taking. And so that's what I do here. The guest I have tonight is Tammy Evans. I have not met her before until tonight. And I wrote her story about a week or so ago. I wrote it blind. I don't know anything about her. And so I'm taking a huge risk by giving Tammy her story tonight. That's how it is for every show. And some people I do know, just so you understand. And even if I were to know somebody, that doesn't mean I can't write them a prophetic story. I just set aside what I know about them and I go look and see. Now, how is this biblical, right? Well, if you understand the prophetic, you know that you hear God's voice, you see in the Spirit the ideas that God is communicating. Well, the way this is biblical is that the Bible says that in heaven there are books written about us. Now, where's our books located? A library, which means that there's a library in heaven. And if you understand that in the Bible, it says that we're seated in heavenly places already, and that Jesus has defeated death on the cross. And because of his death and resurrection, we now have access to the heavenly places now and today. We actually don't have to wait till we physically die to go to heaven. And that's a biblical thing. So when you see books are written in heaven, does that mean it's like boring security footage or a telephone book or an almanac? Or would it be so creative that God writes our stories in so creative, cool ways in a variety of genres, sci-fi, mystery, adventure, thriller, romance, whatever. And so God likes to hide treasures in our stories, and it's meant for us to go looking for them. So when you hear Tammy's story, understand this may feel a little bit literal, but when you hear a prophetic story, it's meant to be understood symbolically, not literally. So go forward, listen to her story, and then see what God's hidden treasures are for you. It's not just for Tammy, it's for everybody, okay? So I hope this introduction kind of gives you a little bit of an on-ramp to understanding prophetic story. I'd like to bring on my guest now, Tammy Evans. Good evening, Tammy. How are you?
Hey, Jurri, how are you this evening?
I'm good. Good. I'm happy to be here with you. This is a nice time.
I've been looking forward to this for a while now, so I'm excited. The night's finally here.
Great. Well, why don't you tell us and the audience a little bit about yourself, and please talk about how did you find Legends of the Wind, and why did you get a prophetic story requested?
Well, I'm located in Montana, and I got involved with the Candor All for Him Ministries. And within that ministry group, she has a Warrior X Kingdom Academy,
Mm.
and it's a monthly pay um, d- discipleship group, and she has different guests on, just amazing people like you.
Thank you.
And one Wednesday she had Jurri on, and he was talking about these stories. And honestly, at first I thought that's a little woo woo. I was like, and so I kind of watched with tainted eyes, because I'd put up, honestly, a judgment.
Mm.
And but then, as you went on, I don't remember whose story you did that day, but as you went on, because I knew that person well, I was like putting these pieces together in my mind. I was like, oh, I bet the unicorn is this, or I bet, this is this in their life. Like, as you're telling the story, I'm trying to decode it. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you were done with the story and she was decoding it, and then with your help, I was like, well, that's really cool. It's just really cool. And so when you had offered to do stories for the students of
Yes.
Warrior X, I was like, I don't even think it had ended, and I was on a laptop signing up for it while I was
Wow.
still in class. So
Wow.
yeah, it's fun.
Thank you very much for taking the plunge with me. I really do. Yeah, I am very aware. We've gotten pushback from other people over the years about what we do. I've been accused of being a charlatan and a new ager and all this stuff, and it's just because I'm speaking a different language,
Hmm.
and so I understand that it's a bit of different for people, but I love what you're talking about decoding, because that's a good word. Um, in parables, there are symbols and ideas that God hides not from us but for us, and the Bible talks about that there's the glory of God to conceal a matter, and it is the glory of kings to search a matter out. So when you have a prophetic story, God purposely hides symbolically those treasures He wants you to discover by revelation. See, in a sermon or direct communication, you may be able to tell somebody the truth in a direct way. But from the hurt person receiving it, that's maybe just an opinion to them. But when you have a decoding moment where a hidden treasure comes to light, that becomes an owned revelation that can't be taken away from you. Your opinions could be shifting and changing, but if God reveals something to you that he only can help you discover, then you can grab a hold of that and say, that's the Lord for me. Does that make sense?
It does. And if we are to be like Jesus, and he talked in parables and stories, it makes sense that you would. So,
Amen.
just
Thank you
saying.
very much. Very good. Thank you, Tammy. Nice introduction. By the way, there's the chat, right? So we got Soul Heights who says hello. Joy Renee Arnold says, hey, Tammy. So everybody who's watching, thank you so much for your participation. Your involvement in the chat is crucial because not only do Tammy has the opportunity to have ideas and revelation of her story, people who know her, her friends, her family, I don't know, so that they may have words of encouragement, words of revelation that they can add. Typically, it happens afterward, after the story time. And so we welcome your involvement. So thank you. All right. So let's do a quick little brief teaching on how to receive a prophetic story. Okay. So Tammy, your prophetic story, I've already kind of given you a heads up, may have a literal sense to it, a realism. However, all prophetic stories are meant to be understood symbolically. And this is a revelation. So when I read it to you, it's a time of revelation. But the goal, an idea, is first to have an interpretation where we decode and unpack it. So Jesus says that he who has ears, let him hear. In a sermon, the responsibility of that message falls upon the speaker. But in story or parables, the responsibility of the message falls upon the audience. That's where for them to go looking and discover what those hidden treasures are. But the ultimate goal for you, Tammy, is to find out what is the Lord's application for you. What action do you need to take out of this? God does not call us to passivity. As a hero in an adventure on a story, you have to be active and going for it, taking huge risks. You do that with Jesus, co-laboring, co-writing your story. Okay? Does that make sense? Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Now, I want you to know, Tammy, you have power in this show. You can say, yes, I received this prophetic story. Or you may say, no, I do not receive this prophetic story. And you may need time to process it. You may need to go back and watch the replay or read the PDF I will send you after the show ends. And that way you can have more revelation to unpack as you chew on this. There's lots of little things that could come up for you. Okay? Does that sound good?
Yep. Sounds
Very
great.
good. And by the way, a way to do a decoding or interpretation is kind of like dream language or dream interpretation, where a symbol or an image or an idea is to be understood by its function, not necessarily its literal form. So dream interpretation is very key in helping understand these stories. All right, very good. Tammy, you're a great student. I'm excited for your story. By the way, Tammy, what time is it?
I'm pretty sure it's story time.
Very good. Awesome. Well, I will let you get ready here, and I will read you your story. Breeze. The wind was blowing softly in Tammy's hair as she left the funeral site. This was a time of memories and a heart of feeling sadness and loss. Would there be another celebration of life around the corner? The sobering reality of time and how short it was presented itself to Tammy's heart, and it seemed to knock louder as the years have gone by. Her spirit heard the words, "I come to heal the brokenhearted." Today, Tammy decided to do something that was a break from her routine. She chose to learn how to paint and find a new method of expressing herself. At the community college near her home, she signed up to take lessons. There were many things in her soul that started gaining her attention, and Tammy was aware of a new beauty, healing the heart, and she wanted others to see it. Was her style abstract painting? No, but Tammy loved landscapes and beautiful flowers. She had many photographs from her travels and adventures outdoors. Now she could use them as a reference and create a whole new design. Tammy worked hard in the classes and learned the foundations of design. Her teacher said that the photos would be a great start, but there's so much more to going out onto a location and painting that way. However, Tammy didn't feel confident about it yet because she was more comfortable being in the studio. For Tammy, she had to gain experience before trying something new. The painting class was enough. As the semester ended, the winter came and the snow on the ground was deep. Her idea of painting now seemed old and impossible. The chill weather dropped her motivation. Tammy felt great loneliness in the winter months. Christmas was around the corner, and she felt the loss of life as her circle of friends again became smaller. She just bought some gifts for this precious friend, and she couldn't stand to return it to the store or to give it to someone else. The wrapped box sat still on the mantel. It was now February, and soon to be March, where Tammy and a friend met at the coffee shop down the street. This friend could see the pain on Tammy's face, but this didn't stop her friend from the confrontation. "I know you're hurting, but this dwelling in the pit of despair must stop. You need to get out more." Tammy heard the words and swallowed her pride and replied, "You're right." The friend expressed her heart of concern, and Tammy just listened. In fact, this friend rarely spoke up about things, as Tammy was usually the one who held the conversation. Her friend said, "You worry about life. You worry about loss. But what does that gain you? It doesn't. You're allowing death to rob you. Don't you know your energy is better put to use?" Tammy understood that grief and creativity can't happen at the same time. All of this exposure of emotions destroyed every ounce of art in her heart. "I need to be healed," said Tammy with tears. She took her last drink of the latte coffee. "You do," said her friend. "I will help you. Look, the snow is melting away in the next few weeks. Gather up your art supplies, canvas, and portable easel, and we can go out and paint together. But you have to choose the location. I will join you." Tammy listened to the proposition and felt the heavy weight of getting back into the saddle of the painting. "Okay, 3 weekends from now we will go. Let me think of the location," replied Tammy. "Deal." For the next few days, Tammy wrestled with the return to painting. All the pain in her heart surfaced, and she felt she couldn't do it. But her commitment and her friend held her accountable. The time arrived, and Tammy decided they should go to Glacier National Park for the weekend to paint. They had their camping gear and supplies. The snow was still present, but there was a great dry spot they knew was the perfect base location. The drive was beautiful, and Tammy felt increasing relief. She felt that not backing out of the decision was the right thing to do. Her heart for creativity returned and was like a flower about to blossom. Tammy also felt her spirit opening up for something special on this trip. Tammy asked her friend, "Have you ever encountered something in the spirit while in nature?" Her friend replied with incredible enthusiasm, "Girl, I have seen so much in nature that connected me with the divine. There's something mythic and magical when you find your heart coming alive in the creation." Tammy always enjoyed the outdoors, but never had the experiences her friend had. Hope rose in her heart. Perhaps a new day was upon her. The two friends made their camp and ate their dinner. It was a Friday, and all day Saturday would be time to paint. Tammy felt great things in her sleep that night, an anticipation of some kind. She dreamed but had no memories of the experiences. Tammy and friend had their painting gear on their backpacks and went up the trail to get high and find the perfect view. Tammy felt so alive that she led the way. They came to a high precipice that overlooked the incredible Glacial Park Valley. Awe and wonder filled Tammy's heart. She set her pack down and said, "Here." Within a few minutes, they were painting away while sitting on some folding chairs. Tammy organized her colors and laid out the composition. Remarkably, to her, as this was the first time Tammy was out on location, she laughed because she knew she had resisted it so much and only wanted to be inside and not out in the field. But now her newfound freedom broke off that limitation. The painting went on from general lines and shapes to becoming more detailed. Tammy's ability surprised her. She thought to herself, "Gosh, I didn't know I had this in me." As Tammy provided more details in her painting, she saw something new in the composition. The painting had a cliff on the right side, and Tammy wasn't sure. But in her imagination, she could see there was one of her friends who passed away last year standing there. This person wore a red scarf, and the wind was blowing it so strong that it waved in the wind. Tammy blinked her eyes and looked out onto the natural scene and saw the cliff before her, but there was no one there. She continued to paint and saw the person with the red scarf again. Tammy knew exactly who it was and felt like the painting had created an encounter for her. The new artist, who just came alive, didn't tell her friend about what she was seeing. Tammy continued to paint, and the wind picked up with a fresh breeze. She kept painting more details and felt incredible emotions welling up in her heart as the person with the red scarf appeared in her painting. Tammy's designs created a connection with her grief. The view of the glacial valley was beautiful and perfect for capturing in the arts. Tammy's friend was painting away as well, but had a whole different design and style. Tammy took a break and examined her friend's canvas and said, "Yours is amazing." "Thanks. How is yours coming along?" asked the friend. "It's not finished," replied Tammy. "Hey, I need to take a break and go look for another view. Do you mind if I go out by myself?" The friend, with a sparkle in her eye, said, "Go right ahead." Tammy left the friend behind and returned to the trail, and after 20 or 30 minutes she found her way to the cliff where her friend with the red scarf stood in her painting. Tammy worked up a sweat from the jaunt and looked back to where her original painting location was. She waved, and her painting partner waved back. Tammy looked out, and the wind picked up. She felt a presence around her that felt like peace and wonder. Goosebumps appeared on the skin of her arms. Tammy heard the words in her heart, "Tell me." For Tammy, the internal utterance felt like she was hearing it in the natural. In fact, it was the voice of her creator, but mixed with the voice of her friend who passed. "Tell me," said the voice again, but this time it was her friend's voice. A swelling of grief rose in Tammy's heart. She knew that her painting of the friend with the red scarf was something important and spontaneous, but this experience was new to her. Her heartbeat increased and the emotions were strong. Tammy crumbled to the ground and shed her tears. With words and grief, she expressed her loss, loneliness, and regret. All the things she wished she could have done but failed to do so, and all the things she wished she never did. The outpouring was great as the wind continued to blow. Sitting on the grass, the mourner found a tissue in her pocket and blew her nose. The wind calmed, but the strength of the presence remained. The voice spoke, "Rest, and let me heal you." Tammy felt warmth on her chest as she laid on the ground. The heat and energy flowed into her soul, and all the pain and agony dissolved away. Peace came. Tammy looked out at the view and soaked it all in. The mountains and their snow and the valley and the clouds all looked new and refreshing. Tammy had fresh eyes to see and realized that prior to healing, she could not see the complete beauty of everything around her. The afternoon came, and Tammy and her friend finished their painting for the day. Both of their paintings remained unfinished, but they decided to do more tomorrow. They finished dinner at their campsite, and Tammy and friend felt the soothing meditation of staring at the coals and flames of the fire pit. Tammy shared with her friend about the spiritual experience on the cliff and how something appeared to her in her painting that was not there in the natural. "I'm going to do this again and again," declared Tammy. Finally, a new resilience filled Tammy's soul, and she learned that all of her resistance to do things didn't benefit her. Now she experienced the healing miracle and could face loss again, but from a new place. For the following several years, Tammy traveled around and painted like crazy at various locations. Her talent blossomed into a high skill level that marveled everyone. As part of her signature style, she looked not only to nature for the image she painted, but also to heaven as well. Tammy saw where heaven touched earth, and she captured it in her art. In fact, all of her hard work and creativity led her to galleries and getting signed with an agent. Tammy's artwork went around the world and inspired many nations. Tammy also told others about her healing story and even taught other new artists how to paint. The full circle had come for Tammy, and now she learned how to flow. Inceptio.
Wow. That is really, really interesting.
Yes.
First, though, I just wanted to say bravo to you for walking in your true identity.
Thank you.
Because what you do isn't easy. And not only does it require your greatest resource, your time, but it requires you to be brave.
Thank you.
And you are a pioneer in this type of prophecy in a world who tends to reject new things. And so I just wanted to recognize that and say,
Thank you.
Thanks for being brave and walking in your true identity that God's given you.
I greatly appreciate your words. Thank you.
And about the story,
yeah.
I don't know.
Is it not working for you?
I am not a painter.
Right.
I have experienced loss. I lost my son when he was 19.
Okay.
And God was very faithful through that. A lot of people, will ask God why. And I hear a lot of preachers say you're not supposed to ask why. But I did. And he told me why. And it kind of didn't make sense. But then after talking with his friends, I was like, oh, that's why. And the reason he said why, he and his friends were going to, I don't know how to put this, pledge their allegiance to Buddha.
Okay.
They were going to follow that religion. And when I asked God why, and all that turmoil going on in your head, and what he said to me was, I had to take him now because what he was about to do, my father couldn't accept him. And it just dropped me dead in my tracks. And I was just like, because it was louder than my voice, all the other voices. It was stunning. And so then I'm like, what was he going to do? And then I wanted to know more.
Yes.
And but he didn't say anything. And then his friends came over and they were talking about how literally wouldn't hurt a fly, which is all in that Buddha reincarnation silly stuff.
Right.
And I was thinking back to just 2 weeks ago, there was a fly stuck on these window revenge strips, and he was trying to free it. And which I thought, okay, that's sweet. It's sweet for a kid, but a 19-year-old, But anyways, he was being drawn into a false religion.
Right.
And when my kids were smaller, I had written out a prayer for each one of them. And so I ran back to read what I'd wrote for him. And it's crazy. There wasn't anything about a long and fruitful life and the grandchildren I wanted and anything. It was pretty much, he has to be in heaven with you. It was 3 pages long. Wow. But the general theme was he has to be in heaven. He
Mm.
has to be with you.
Okay.
And so I read that, and you're as a mom, you're looking back on it, you're like, why don't I write something else? Like he gives me 12 grandkids or something.
Right. Right.
Um, but it's really interesting how much like how God gave Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John words to write the Bible. I feel like he gave me words to write this prayer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, because none of the other children's were like that. So I don't know. So there's the verse that says that he works things all together for our good,
Mm-hmm.
and he really does. He really
Mm.
does.
Okay. Okay.
So
Well,
I have no artistic ability
sure. Sure.
to draw. I love to do graphics and computer graphics and do
Ah,
layers and
okay.
things. But as as to paint, and you were talking about how beautiful I was painting, and I'm like, it's got to be a metaphor for something else.
Yes, it is. It is. That's what I told you. It's a symbolic thing because
Yeah.
that's how it is. So let me see if we can begin to unpack it because you kind of got a good start in my eyes. Um, so we've all experienced loss. People who are family members or people who are mentors or close to us who've passed away. So I believe that grief is an important thing that Jesus wants to help us with. Um, and I think that when you immediately gravitated in the conversation to the passing of your son and the writing of the prayer journal, first of all, I want to be clear. I don't believe in talking to the dead and necromancy and that kind of stuff. My understanding is that there's no death in heaven and that people who pass away who are in the kingdom, they're alive. And Jesus modeled for us meeting Moses and Elijah on the mountain of transfiguration. So I don't want anybody to get bent out of shape about this sort of thing. Just recently, I saw a video of a little boy in a hospital who was having an encounter, and his mother was recording it on her phone. And this little boy was seeing his seeing Jesus, having a conversation, and his father was there, and the little boy said that both of them were so beautiful. I have to find that video again because I just was scrolling. It was so powerful. So I don't want anybody to think I'm in error in any way. Uh, so when we talk about grief, we all experience loss in life, especially as we get older. And so with your son, let me see if I can delicately walk this out, Tammy. Okay, I'm only exploring. I'm not trying to say da da da. This is it, but you're not in the natural a painter, but you have a way of communicating your heart, right? So I don't. I can ask you that, and you can answer me in a little bit. Like, what is the expression of your heart? How do you communicate your heart? How do you communicate Jesus to others? But I think that the prayer that you wrote for your son who passed away at a young age, maybe the person with the red scarf is not necessarily your son, but it is about you communicating your story on earth and connecting it with heaven, and that bringing heaven to earth, that kind of thing. It also makes me think about preservation. So when the prostitute in Jericho met the two spies, and she made a covenant with them, saying, "Don't kill me and my family." And when the Israelites and the walls came down, she was preserved, and he even mentions her in the New Testament. And she had made a marker with a red scarf, a red cord, hanging from her window as an indication. So to me, in your story, because I've been thinking about this for about a few days now, what does that red scarf mean? To me, it represents a preservation. So I believe that it could be the way you communicate is coming alive and being rebirthed in you, and that you're going to be able to take what's in heaven and bring it to earth. So I wonder, does that resonate with you in any way? Because I'm thinking on my feet right now.
It actually does, and I just typed to put Cody's story on his In Loving Memory Facebook page,
Mm.
because it's a really interesting story. And I did type it out and sent it to some people.
Mm-hmm.
And then by a fluke, I ended up erasing it.
Oh no.
And I was like, I don't think that I don't know, it just felt like it wasn't just me doing something silly,
Mm-hmm.
because that's really important to me. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
called a friend and I said, do you still have that story? And she goes, yes. And she was crying and talking about it. I said, would you send it back to me? so so I can retype it, because I want to put it on that Facebook page.
Mm.
And that's been over a year and I have not done that.
Ah,
I
okay.
haven't retyped it. I started to,
Mm-hmm.
and um, I stopped, and I haven't gotten back to it. But I just put that down when you were talking about bringing heaven to earth to to complete that task, um, because that was probably God telling me to do it. So
Well, that actually kind of follows the narrative of you going to a community college and learning to paint and then losing that vision in the winter and then being rebirthed again, kind of thing.
it does. It
Ah,
does.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. So,
Interesting.
so I'm looking here. Can I ask you, like, in general, like, what is your method of expression? I'm not talking about being a painter or even being creative in an arts, but like, what is the natural way you express your heart or Jesus or the Bible or your spirituality? Like, how do you go about it? Like, what's your easy way of doing it?
Well, it would depend on the situation,
Okay.
but something that I have been doing, because I actually started doing some door dashing, and um, but even before then, I would go get food gift cards, and then I would have sayings that I put with them that said things like the the world needs the gift that God's put in you. We
Mm-hmm.
need you back in society. That sounds terrible, but something like that. And I could probably get them up on the computer. But anyways,
Yeah.
just different sayings that God had given me,
Mm.
and I would pass them out as I felt. And
Mm-hmm.
there were some people I was like, no. And I'm like, why am I saying no? But everything in me was like, no, not that one. And I'm like, okay. And but so I'd like to think it was discernment
Mm-hmm.
as
Mm-hmm.
to who God wanted me to interact with. And so when I started door dashing, which is really fun, by the way, um, I um, there's a bunch of those kinds of people at McDonald's and around McDonald's and places like that. And you're all over town, like it's 80 to 100 miles a day, right?
Oh, wow.
And yeah, in this little town.
Mm-hmm.
And I had opportunities, and some of those were just at a red light and rolling down my window and going, hey, I have something for you. And they're like, you do? And I'm like, yeah. And they come over and you hand it out the window to them. And they're like, thanks. And then you got to go. Um, but it's not just that some woman gave you a gift card to Panda, but it says it's from Jesus. It's about
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is the core of
Yes.
why this crazy woman called you over to her window. Um, and so and with door dashing, like there's just so many opportunities. I've been doing like drive-by blessings.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I'll drive by and just certain people catch my eye, and I'll be like, in Jesus' name, I bless you. I bless your mind. I bless your body. I
Amen.
bless your
Good.
future. I
Yeah.
bless your mind to be able to perceive and to hear God and to see the future He has for you. And which is probably why door dashing is fun for me. Because um, people like to say, well, there's nothing left to do but pray. But prayer is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess that's the first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hold on. I hit the wrong button. I accidentally muted you. You said that you guessed something?
Oh, that is the first thing that came to my mind when you were saying you said something, how would you express
Yes.
Jesus to somebody?
All right.
Um, yeah.
Good, good.
Although
Yeah.
I have had an opportunity to have a longer conversation with a gentleman named Jeremy who has a pentagon tattooed on his hand and a
Mm.
pentagon necklace.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, for some reason, I just love him, you know.
Mm.
And um, and one day I said, so tell me about your necklace. And he goes, well, I have a hair right here, sorry. I'm into Wiccan and blah blah. And I'm like, how's that working out for you? And he looks at me and I'm like, you're here, you're homeless, I'm me. I have this really pretty truck. And it was kind of blunt. And God usually puts me with young men, where kind of my bluntness works.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, well, how's that working out for? And he was like, it's not. I'm like, maybe you should try Jesus. So, um, I don't know. I don't know. I think God puts us with people who respond to our unique personality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because everybody speaks a different language.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, he keeps putting me with like the lost young men.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Great. This is beautiful, Tammy. So let me see here. You had said something really crucial a moment ago. It says, someone caught me out of the corner of my eye. So the story that I wrote for you, mainly, it's not truly grief and loss as the ultimate thing. It's not about physical death, I think. I think is that you have the ability to see the hidden treasures of life, and that you can bring heaven to earth to those people. Because it may not be about people who physically die in your circle of friends as you get older. You are the one seeing the lost. You're actually operating as an evangelist. You're going out and seeking the lost. And so when your story talks about, you're out at a beautiful view. You see, you have a beautiful view. You can see. And then
Mhm.
you are painting, which is your method of expression, your creative expression. And you can see, oh, there's that person there that's lost. That doesn't mean that they're physically past necessarily. It means that they're lost in life. And then you look out and you're like away from the canvas and like, wait, I don't see them there. So in the natural, they're overlooked, but you see them. So I believe that what Jesus is doing for your story is affirming your giving to the lost, affirming your sowing into people's lives in the way that you can express your love for Christ to them. I believe that this story is absolutely affirming to you your point of view of seeing the unseen. I believe that's what God's saying. The grief is you see their potential and they're not operating in their life's given potential. And so that's what's lost. It's their destiny, it's their purpose, it's their future. And you know what? Let me be a little delicate here. You lost your son. You lost part of a future. So you are drawn toward other men who are lost themselves, and you're operating from heaven's point of view, sowing into the like your son died like a small seed, and now you are growing and reaching out to so many young men who are just as lost or worse in their lives, and you are being a mother to them. You are seeing the unseen as a mother, and I believe that the story never had the word mother in it, but you are operating as a kingdom mother, doing this for these young men who are lost, and you're sowing into them by helping them be fed and be touched, to be recognized. So I believe that this story is affirming your identity as a mom in the spirit. I believe that that could be it. What do you think? That's my opinion, but that's what I'm getting.
I've been listening to a lot of Jamie Winship, which he's all about identity and
Mm-hmm.
and what does God call you?
Mm-hmm.
So I've been asking God, what do you call me? And I haven't heard anything. And then you come up and say, a mother to the lost. And that hit pretty hard.
There
So
you go.
yeah.
Okay, so
Those words are an answer to prayer over the last 3 weeks. But I want to
beautiful.
do more,
Yeah? Well,
like
good.
so much more.
Because here's the cool thing at the end of your story, it said for the following several years, Tammy traveled around, DoorDash maybe, and painted like crazy at a variety of locations. Locations? Her talent blossomed into a high skill level that marveled everyone. As part of her signature style, she looked not only to nature for the image she painted, but also to heaven as well. Tammy saw where heaven touched earth, and she captured it in her art. So, you may not be able to be a painter of landscapes and flowers, but you are a masterful artist as a mother of the kingdom. And that's
Mhm.
your identity and function. So find new ways or to grow. Like ask God now that God's given you the legend. This is where you are on your map. So now you have a desire in your heart. All great characters in a book or movie have a desire. They like, I want X, Y, and Z. And then they have things that are in their way and they're obstacles, and they have to grow and overcome and defeat things and change and transform and learn. That's where you are. So now you have a new mission on your life, Tammy.
I love missions.
Yeah.
I,
So this
yes,
is go ahead.
just I always I always pray, just give me marching orders, God. Like just give me marching orders. Just be
Let me
blunt
jump
and
off.
give me the orders.
Right. So what you're wanting is you want him to tell you something, but he's called you to be the active hero of your story. You have desires in your heart. And then there's a saying I have on my podcast that I say regularly. I don't know if you've already heard it. It's called permission granted. So I'm going to give you a word of encouragement, Tammy. You have permission granted from heaven to operate out of the desires of your heart, the ones that Jesus gave you, not to be rebellious or to be on your own, but to co labor, to co create, and write your story with Him. You have permission. So you're asking Him to give you action items when in fact it's already in you. You just need to say, yes, I'm going to do it with you, Lord. So stop waiting and sitting back like, God, tell me what to do, but say, God, I have this vision. I know that it can be partnering with heaven in it, and I'm willing to take the risk to do it. So maybe they'll hate the cliche, we're not waiting on God, He's waiting on us. But the idea is that He's given you permission granted. There are things on your scroll of your heart that He wrote, and you have permission to walk it out. You don't have to wait necessarily. Now, of course, there's wisdom and timing, but the impetus is on you. Will you walk and run? And so I believe that this story um, has affirmed you as your in your action, that you've sown so much. And like you said, you had prayed, oh, God, give me a word or something 3 or 4 weeks ago. And now I believe it's come today, tonight, right? Do you say so?
Yeah.
I think so. So I
Hmm.
bless you with this. So now is that we got interpretation, application. All right. So let me just say, give you a deadline 2 weeks. 2 weeks. What are you going to be accomplishing in the next 2 weeks for the what is burning in your heart? What kind of action plan of steps can you take that gives you a 2 week window that by the end of 2 weeks something has been done or some sort of process has been put into order? That way you don't have to drag it out and like, God, I have this burning in my heart. I'm partnering in faith with you. Let's do it. Just an idea.
Well, there's this ideal that I have, and there is a couple lots of land in town.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd really like to like call it Square One
Okay.
and make little square houses, very simple,
Mm-hmm.
but with top of the line countertops and stuff that are very
Hmm.
durable,
Okay.
and to the ones that God says, this one, um, to give them a place where they can lock the door,
Mm-hmm.
where they can put their stuff and they don't have to stay half awake because they're worried about somebody stealing their stuff,
Mm-hmm.
where they can come back to the mindset that they are human and that they are worthy,
Mm-hmm.
where they can get a really good night's sleep and not have to worry about so much stuff without telling them no drugs, no alcohol to be here. Just give them some time and space to come back to their senses, kind of, and then help them off the drugs and alcohol, and then help them further and further. Which requires a whole bunch of people with licenses I don't have, and a whole bunch of resources.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I I fall asleep thinking about it, thinking about how I would arrange them, um, just all
Okay,
kinds of stuff.
that's good because that's like the master plan vision that you have, right? So I think what you should do in 2 weeks is you need to write down your master plan in writing, and you need to share it with someone who's administrative, who has an administrative personality and gift mix, someone who is a builder. Maybe Kendra is that person. I know her enough that she has that gift mix, and maybe someone else. But at least in the next 2 weeks, write down your vision, put it into clear language with detailed information, and then by the
Hmm.
end of and then think about who you want to share it with and go, okay, hey guy or gal, 2 weeks, can we have coffee? I want to share something on my heart. And then get together and see what happens. Go for it. Get the fellowship started, go for the adventure, because the
Right.
Bible says in Habakkuk, write the vision and make it plain. Get that strategy
Mm.
going, and then find the right people to partner with. What you just described as the Square One, that's the name, Square One. That's the ultimate vision. So now, make the collaborations and the planning to make it happen. I don't know your personality well enough to know where you stand on, are you administrative yourself? Or are you more a visionary? Something else? Mercy gift? I think you're kind of a mercy kind of person. So I would encourage you to build a team, a small group of people, and see if they can catch your vision, and then go for it and see if they come together and you can make the master plan manifest.
Yeah. I would say definitely the visionary, the mercy, and the fundraising.
Okay, well, that's a
Um,
good mix right there.
but yeah, Kendra is absolutely phenomenal with administrative
Yes.
and real estate and
Mm-hmm.
actually everything. So
Mm-hmm.
she's very talented.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
So that's your application. So you got a little fire put underneath you to go. Okay, it's time to do something, right? Because here's the
right.
cool thing. This story, you think it's literal, right? But here's we've seen how it applies to your life. And now it's a beautiful kiss from heaven for who you are. And now that because your answers are the one that told me what, you brought up all these things, and I'm just kind of translating it for you, right? And now
Yes,
it's like a mirror for you. Is Jesus giving you a kiss from heaven saying, this is your expression, and you see the things that are not seen. And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
when you said
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm giving you permission
Yes.
to walk forward in that,
Yes.
there was something that happened in the spirit world in my heart, in something when you said that. I
Amen.
was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, it's like the courts of heaven, okay? In the courts of heaven, there are decrees that are given. So you have the accuser who comes to you and says blah 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 and all this junk, and then Jesus says
Hmm.
no, and then he stamps or gives a seal of approval. So what you felt was Jesus giving you a stamp of approval, you know, and saying
Yes,
done. It's just the affirmation of her identity as approved and sealed. So that's kind of like a spiritual description of what you were discerning. Does that make
right.
sense?
It does. It
Right.
does. Now I'm kind of confused if it's this one or the other one that I've been toying with, and that is to
Okay.
have like a non-emergency medical transportation nonprofit where I can pick up wheelchair-bound people from their
Mm-hmm.
homes or from nursing homes
Mm-hmm.
and get them to church on Sunday or
Mm.
Wednesday night or a Bible study or whatever. Because it seems, well, I have an aunt who has ended up in a wheelchair,
Okay.
and that just ended so many things. Um, and you know, if your daughter's having a birthday party and she wants grandma there, but she's in a wheelchair, how do you get her there? And to get them in church with
Mm-hmm.
their families has been another thing that I've been praying about a lot.
So what if those two, the Square One and the nonprofit for transportation, what if they dovetail to each other? I don't know enough about how that works, but if you were to like start with one, that there would be a natural business plan for that one that would flow and influence the other one, so that when you do A, it activates B. That's all I'm getting.
Okay,
Just to see, because if there's two things on your heart, maybe there's a way they touch each other, and that they allow each other to exist and grow. Does that make sense? So you can take
it
that to
does.
Jesus in prayer, talk to Kendra. But if those are both dually important to you, then I believe there's a connection that's going to be made for you to see how they connect and interact, because it may work for fundraising. You may try your A could be the vehicle for fundraising B, maybe, I don't know, but that's something you should explore.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. You know, it would really be a God thing in my little mind to bring those two together.
Yeah,
Um, but who knows?
sure.
Um, maybe, I don't know, just a quick thought. Maybe somebody that goes through square one and quote gets squared away, needs a job
Okay.
and I could hire him to do the transportation. I
That
don't
that
know.
could be the way to do it. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
possibility. Yeah, because that
yeah.
would give them motivation and a goal, right? So if I
Mhm.
get cleaned up, if my life gets off of drugs and alcohol, and I have a place to call my own for a short term, then I would be expected and had to have to qualify to drug test and be clean, and then I would
Mhm.
be given a mission to help others. So that could be a possible path for you. So
And
that's
and and even if they weren't actually driving, for them to experience taking care of an elderly person or any
sure,
person in a
sure,
wheelchair,
yeah,
putting them on the lift and making sure they are tied down and
right.
learning how to communicate with people properly,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, to increase their verbal and their nonverbal skills
Mm-hmm.
might work, might be
Yeah,
really helpful
not
to
only
them.
that, I mean, my hometown, there's a program called Youth Alternatives. This is where high schoolers who are got kicked out of school and they
Mm,
were doing drugs and alcohol, crime. And Youth Alternatives is a nonprofit that allows at-risk students to get their GED and get educated. And so they're expected to fulfill community service and do their education with the goal of getting their lives straightened out. So that is a parallel to what you potentially could do. That's something you
mhm,
can't do by yourself.
mm,
So I believe give yourself 2 weeks, write this mission, this vision, call up people tonight and say, hey, I want to meet you for coffee in 2 weeks. Get that fire going and see what happens. But I think it's so beautiful that this story breathes. And so a breeze, right? Why did it call? Because the scarf, right? So I believe heaven is breathing on this story for you, for your identity as a mother in the kingdom. And I believe
mm,
that that's the take home for you. That he loves you
mm.
that much.
I will take that. Yes,
Good. This is so
gladly.
cool. We found what the story is.
Mm,
I was nervous. I actually a year or so ago, Kendra, I had a lady on my show that was part of Kendra's crew. She really had an emotional experience with her story, and the next day, Kendra had to bring a team and help her for inner healing. And so I gave Kendra a heads up just the other day about your meeting me tonight because I was a little concerned about grief and loss. I wanted to be
mhm,
careful with you. I don't know you, but fortunately, it really isn't about people's friends dying. It's about the loss of potential's destiny and then seeing that come to life. So we
mhm.
found it. We found the story. Blessings. Wow.
Well, thank you so
Great.
much for this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Let me
Um,
go ahead. Go ahead. If you have a
I,
thought.
well, yeah, I was thinking about you earlier today, and I wrote something for you.
Oh yeah.
Not a story, just my thoughts. But I was thinking that reading a story that God gave you without any earthly certainty definitely takes chutzpah, which is like Hebrew for guts
Yeah.
and gall and
Mm,
stuff, and really huge faith. And but you didn't let that stop you. You stayed obedient to God, and um, I really think that He is going to bless this and grow this,
thank you.
and people are going to get the answers that they're looking for because of your obedience.
Thank
So
you. Oh, I appreciate it,
that's what I
Tammy.
was thinking today.
Thank you. I take that wholeheartedly. We're
Good.
taking my wife and I. We're taking a huge risk. Um, we got in the Joseph's prison of Wyoming, my hometown, for the past 6.5 years. And we tried and tried to leave my hometown and couldn't work it out for different reasons.
Mm.
COVID was one of them. And both my wife and I are called to Hollywood. And I have my master's in filmmaking for the #1 film school in the world, USC. And my wife has a degree and experience in concept art for animation. And so we have a big vision for creating stories and films that help heal people without telling them directly what's going on. So Legends of the Wind is a very small version of what we want to do. We finally sold our house. I had been through an intense 2-year inner healing and deliverance where I'm receiving inner healing from incredible pain and trauma from my childhood and from family issues and things like that. And so finally in February this year, I had a huge inner healing about finances and fear of provision. And I had some encounters with Jesus in that huge trauma that freed me up from that fear. Shortly thereafter, our house sold. So we're moving back to LA. We don't know where we're going in LA. There's no job for us lined up. We felt like that's what's going to happen for us. And so I had looked at all these prophetic stories I've given to a lot of people over the years, and I've never had one fall to the ground. So I took stock of his faithfulness and goodness to me, and I got that healing in February. And I'm like, okay, we're going. And so I'm believing he is going to meet us somehow. And we've been praying, what's the plan? My other family, various people are freaking out about our decision. And we pray, God, what's the plan? He says, I'm not giving you the plan. And says, you have to get to California first. Now, California is not the ideal place to be economically. Hollywood's falling apart. But there's something in me and Alicia that carries heaven to Hollywood and the people there need. So he says, I will provide you a home. I will provide you finances. And so tonight is another example of a story that has succeeded. That I did hear God for Tammy Evans. And so his faithfulness is real. And so when you say chutzpah, I do have nerves every show, going before someone I've never met before, delivering a story. I have no research or anything done. We're dealing with a lot of chutzpah.
With a whole lot of chutzpah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
See,
Absolutely. Like
yeah.
bravery, like the inner bravery and trust in God, faith, has to just be huge in you, in your family. And obviously it is if you're going to move to California of all places. No, I'm just kidding. You know,
we know.
Yeah. So, but I can't help but wonder if your style of speaking wasn't made for a very progressive state as California, where you would be accepted and listened to much better than Bill Johnson or somebody, because of your style and how you present it. That, yeah, you might have just been created for California, honey.
Well, what you're talking about is correct. See, I grew up in the church. I've been in church almost all my life. And my father's a photographer. My uncle's a painter. My aunt's a painter. And I have had the arts in my life. But I grew up listening to country music, and I hated it. My mom would force me to listen to soap operas. The reason I didn't like country music and I didn't like soap operas is because the dialogue and the language was on the nose. It was direct. And Jesus was showing me that to communicate in the arts, you have to be indirect. You have to hide things for them to discover. They have to be symbolic, and it's called shadowed language. And that's what the word parable means, is dark saying or shadowed language. Shadows are not the substance. They're the representation of the substance. So when you tell art, which is a story, and a story doesn't have to be just a short story or novel. It could be a dance, it could be music, it could be painting, sculpting. It's meant to express. And so I learned that you can't force feed the message to the people. So when you are doing sermons are good, but they're only good for the people who already know your language. So when you say my style, it's my language. I can tell a
Mhm.
story to anybody. See, sermons are limiting to the four walls of the church, but story reaches everybody. And
Mhm.
that's why I think California could accept me, you know. But I've
Exactly.
yeah, go ahead. So
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just agreeing loudly and interrupting you. I'm sorry.
oh, that's okay. Thank you. Yeah, so I have a revelation of how this works. And it's even in the Bible. Like the only time an artist is mentioned in the Bible is in the story of the Bezalel, who's the artist who created the Ark of the Covenant and the tabernacle. According to Jewish tradition, Bezalel was 13 years old. He had just become a man with his bar mitzvah kind of thing. So he had one foot in childhood and one foot in adulthood. And he saw heaven, and he was able to design the Ark of the Covenant and the tabernacle. See, those are shadows. Remember, the Bible says they are types and shadows? And
Mhm.
Bezalel's name means in the shadow of God. That's what his name means. So when you have the Bible, you have three shadows mentioned. You have the shadow of death, which everybody knows about. You have Peter's shadow, and then you have Bezalel, the shadow of God. So he was the only time the artists were ever mentioned. It's also with him the first mention of someone who's anointed. So if you look
Really?
at the law of studying the Bible, when you have the law of first mention, whoever's the first mention is something super crucial. And it was an artist that was the first person to be known as anointed. And he brought heaven to earth, but in shadowed creative forms. Okay? So that's what I do.
Yes, it is.
Beautiful.
It
Wow.
it is absolutely what you do. Yes.
And so does my wife with her paintings. So yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm going to kind of wrap it up. We're going to do an offering in a moment, Tammy. But I want to ask you one more question for our audience, okay? So, can you tell me and the audience, what did you experience tonight? And then would you recommend it for someone else?
Correct. Well, I love well, it's not it's God giving you stories to speak to people. Um, because that leaves room for the person to interpret it. Um, it leaves room for God to speak to the person that you've written the story to. And actually, for me, gave me room and made me sit down and be still long enough, um, which I'm not great at being still, but to just sit down and just focus on that and focus on the words. And you giving me a title identity um, was something that I've been praying for weeks now. And when you said it, like everything in me just lit up. I'm like, oh, that's it. And and I think when God gives you a title identity, it helps you to um, move forward in it. Um, if if I were to say that you were a cowboy, and God said you were a cowboy, you would like have to change, your whole thinking and that. But that's not what God said. God said you're a storyteller. And so you were able to go, okay, that's what I was created to be, and you could run with it. And I think when we try to run in identities that we think we should be, like, well, I should be like this or I should be like that, or people would think well of me if I was like this or that. We always fail until we find, what does God say?
Mm-hmm.
What is my identity title?
Mm-hmm.
What does God say? And He's more than willing to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So once you find that out, and you stay in your lane of that, you honestly can't fail. You can only fail when you are in the wrong lane for the wrong reasons,
Sure.
right? So I would really recommend someone who might be at a point in their life where they could possibly turn left or right, and the risk rewards are the same. And so in their mind, they can't make up their mind what to do. And then if they came to see you and got it in a story form, which isn't just a black and white form,
Mm-hmm.
in a story form where it stirs up their imagination and gives them a chance to think like a child and just imagine like a child, and take all the adult stress and expectations away,
Mm-hmm.
and just play for a minute, um, that it that it opens up our minds to be able to hear clearly,
Mm.
um, what may be something God's been trying to say for a long time,
Yeah.
would suddenly just be lit up, you know, and then they would be free to
Mm-hmm.
walk in that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like I think it would be great for anybody, because it's fun, just
Yeah.
saying.
Cool.
Um, and part of that fun is the nervousness leading up to it. That nervous excitement leading up
Mm-hmm.
to it. And then another part of that fun is taking the time alone with just you and the Holy Spirit, and going, okay, this is what I think. Is there more?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have more to show me? And all of it brings people to Jesus. So, and it slows them down enough to want to hear Jesus. Not everybody's a spaz like me going 100 miles an hour, but um, because you can go, okay, Jesus, what is my identity title? Or you can listen to Jurri tell you a story,
Right. Right.
and it just flows so comfortably and gently. Um, it's freeing. I
Mm.
think what you do
Mm-hmm.
is you give people a way to find freedom to be themselves,
Mm.
permission to be themselves through a story.
Man, that's good.
And that's super important. Super important. So
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Well, thank you. That's a great way of unpacking it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Wow. Well, we're going to take a quick break for about a minute or so. It's offering time. So, Legends of the Wind is a prophetic ministry that celebrates the creative arts. If you've watched so far in this show in the replay, and you've seen what we do here and how we operate in our heart, and you see the fruit of it in Tammy's story, would you consider sowing into our ministry? Consider sowing into what we're believing for, what we're doing. So, in the next minute, we're going to have a give page, and we'll be right back, and I'll talk to you about how to get your own story as well. Thank you for your giving. Everyone, this has been an incredible show for me. I can't tell you. Tammy will be right with us in a second, but I want to speak to you directly. Guys, this show has been a fantastic time. I was on my feet flying, and seeing Tammy's responses to everything has been beautiful. So if you believe in what we're doing, if you see the ability of the potential, what God could do, thank you for sowing into our lives. Thank you for sowing into our ministry. It is a precious thing, and we don't take it lightly. If you are interested in receiving a prophetic story from me, I'd like to show you our website. It's legendsofthewind.com. I'm going to show you right now what it looks like briefly. Let me see here. Okay. So this is our website, Legends of the Wind. And we have information here about what is prophetic storytelling, how to receive a prophetic story, how it's biblical. We have some questions and answers and lots of testimonies about how to understand what we're doing. We try to explain it in a clear and concise way. If you want to request a story, click the button, request your story. It'll lead you to this page. Here is a little video from Abby. Oh my goodness, her story was fantastic. Her appearance was amazing. This is an example of something that is super powerful. Now, you can register here. You can schedule a booking time with me. You can be live on the show. And also right here, it says create a custom book with illustration based on your legend. That is for my wife. If you are interested in getting a prophetic story and a book cover, I'll show this to you. This is part of our store. Alicia can paint an original design for a keepsake for you, where your book is physically printed, and she can create an amazing cover basically in the style of your story. These are examples of other people that she has painted for. And if you are interested in this and want a discount, put in the comments below request. We'll reach out to you and give you an email with a coupon code so that you can get a discount on your own story. So I highly recommend you check us out on our website. It's so powerful what God's creativity can do. So thank you so much for giving it a shot. So Tammy, we're back. Hello. Sorry.
Hi.
So thank you very much for being an amazing guest. I as you saw, I am so happy that this was such a blessing for you. And it was a blessing for me to see how this unfolding process went. And I believe God has given you a wonderful kiss and hug from heaven. So let me be able to do that for you for your story. So are you there?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I couldn't hear you for just a little bit.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was just saying that I'm so grateful for you being my guest, and I'm so happy how we walked it out and see the unfolding revelation of your story. And thank you. And it's like a kiss and hug from heaven.
Kisses and hugs from heaven.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Cool.
Well, thank you for all that you do. This is definitely a labor of love.
Yes,
So
thank you.
I
Great.
appreciate it.
Well, stick around. We're going to go close it out, but we'll see if we can get Alicia on. And want to thank everybody for watching. It's been a beautiful time. We'll see you on the next show. Okay? See you soon.
Bye.